Hi, this is Mike from thesubstream.com, and this is an episode of Watch This Instead for the week ending the 22nd of January. I want to talk today about a movie called Legion, which is a supernatural fantasy action movie set in a small desert town of Paradise Falls, and it stars Paul Bettany and Dennis Quaid, and it stinks. It's just so much wasted potential. The worst crime a film can commit, as far as I'm concerned, one that this film commits from its start to its finish, is to be both ridiculous and boring. If you're going to be crazy and make up weird stuff about angels fighting over a baby and ice cream men with giant mouths that turn into spiders that attack in the night, go over the top. Fill it with crazy crap. Don't inject little bits of craziness and then have long, boring sequences of dialogue that are dry. And it makes no sense. Not only is the story not actually fleshed out to the point where you can understand why people are doing things, it's blatantly setting up a sequel that's probably never going to arrive. I certainly won't watch it. But it's internally inconsistent. Characters have muddled motivations that are completely unclear. They keep referring to God up in the sky, and it doesn't make any sense. It's just awful. It's terrible. It's boring. It's ridiculous. It's confusing. And ultimately, it's not about anything because the story isn't fleshed out to the point where you can understand what's actually happening. So what should you watch instead? Watch this film done 1,000,000 times better. That film's called The Prophecy, and it was made in 1995. It stars Elias Koteas as a priest who might be losing his faith, and Eric Stoltz as Simon, and Christopher Walken as Gabriel, the two warring angels on Earth looking for a hidden evil soul. And they kind of have this spiritual, battle across Earth, and there's police, and finally in the last 20 minutes of the film, Lucifer shows up, and it's Viggo Mortensen just sitting on a rock, not doing anything other than speaking in a really calm voice, and he ends up being one of the scariest villains in a movie of all time. Do you know how hard it is for your part to be the memorable part of a film that stars Christopher Walken? That's tough. The worst part about Legion is that they've got a classic, small, low-budget genre movie scenario. They set it up really perfectly, and for the first 10 minutes of the film, you think that it might actually have some value before it becomes apparent that it doesn't. 5 strangers, 6 strangers from disparate parts of the world with gray shades of morality, the good guy, the maybe bad guy, the anti-hero, the rich lady, the rich dude, the struggling single mom, all locked up in a little small confined space, cut off from the rest of the world. And they're under siege by enemies that are silent, implacable, and seemingly endlessly numbered of them. That's a thing that was pioneered by George A. Romero in the original Night of the Living Dead, when they shot inside a house that was just under siege by a bunch of zombies. It's obvious that Legion takes some of its inspiration from Night of the Living Dead. It doesn't take enough, unfortunately, because it ends up being a pretty bad film. A film that was inspired by Night of the Living Dead that's much better, with the same basic setup of hero, anti-hero setup, holed up in a house, is John Carpenter's 1976 film Assault on Precinct 13. It was made a couple of years ago, remade a couple of years ago, a remake that starred Ethan Hawke, which is okay, but the original is the one that you should watch instead of Legion. But the worst thing, probably, the worst waste of potential in Legion is Paul Bettany. I don't know if he's trying to transition his career to pick up, big budget action roles. He maybe could do that in theory. I don't know if he had an agent who said we have to widen your appeal from kind of semi-effete British dandy to strapping, sword-swinging angel beast. But it doesn't really work. He's a dude that's really good at certain things, really, really good. Good in a way that even guys like Hugh Grant aren't. If you want to see that, what you should watch instead of Legion is a movie called Wimbledon, which you probably won't take my advice on because that's a romantic comedy that also stars Kirsten Dunst. Not enough people saw it when it first came out, but it's a really charming, good film, and you should definitely watch that maybe instead. Or those other things I said. You can get all of those by going to our website, thesubstream.com, clicking on one of the banners to get your free trial from zip.ca so that we get the money that goes in our pockets that they send to us, and you get DVDs in the mail.